Pledge allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will officially be called our meeting to order here, and I would just like to make a comment. I hope everyone enjoyed the festivities over the weekend, even with the rain and all that other kind of stuff that was going on. Hopefully the inside of you showed a light, you know, at least we were alive, because I know somewhere somebody wasn't alive, but we still had that to go to live through here in the city of Port Huron, where we actually we had a moment, a special moment as far as the city council. We hosted, I think it was 35 legislators, about 35 legislators that Representative Joe Pavlik invited to the city of Port Huron. Some of them have never been here before, and they were just in awe. So Joe did a fantastic job, and he was trying, his goal behind that was to get the legislators here because we were trying to get money for the Tainter Gate. And when they vote, we want them to remember they've been here to Port Huron, they see the significance and the significance of that Tainter Gate, even though it's not, it was the economic, the tourism part of it, and also it was a safety factor. So when you say, well, we don't have a vote, just because we don't have a vote doesn't mean that we're not a part of that, part of the city of Port Huron. It's where we all come together, and this, the tourism and the economics, that's us, you know, it brings money into Port Huron. And the safety also is a draw. So we got to do better at what we're doing to get more people to come here to Port Huron, not as a pass-through, but to stop and want to live here. And so you're a big part of that. So when we show them how happy we could be or whatever, that we can do it, you know, a building can't smile back at them, but you can, and you can welcome them, you know, with your open arms. So we just need to do better as we can in promoting our city. You got that? All right, well, let me hear a clap behind that, because this is our city, and we got to do whatever we can to make it happen, because we're not really positioned where we need to be, but it can't say that we can't get there, but we can get there with one another. So, just wanted to put that out here. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Haremza?
Here.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Here.
Councilmember Payton?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Mayor Ashford?
Present. Members, you have before you 3 minutes, June 23rd, June at 5 and 1 at 6, and you have also 1 at 5. What is your pleasure there? Motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes, motion carried. Now we'll go to presentations.
Representatives from the Michigan Department of Transportation will provide an update on the Blue Water Bridge Plaza expansion project.
Good evening, everyone, and thank
Good
you,
evening.
Mayor Ashford, for inviting us and to the council for welcoming us back.
Thank you.
I will do my best to keep my remarks brief. I want to start by introducing the project team members that I've brought with me. Clint McDonald, Dan's Excavating. Amy Nguyen, our Blue Water Bridge Director. Laura Ellsworth, AECOM Project Manager of our General Engineering Consultant team for the project. And Caitlin French, who is our media representative.
Okay, welcome.
So they're available to answer questions, should there be any, after I finish. I would be remiss if I didn't also mention others who have been helping with the project as we begun construction. Eric Witter, Brent Moore, Bill Warren from City Engineering, Sarah Montoya, very responsive, very appreciated. Thank you. So I'm not going to get into the whole project history in the interest of time. We have made presentations to City Council in November of 2022, as well as July of 2023, that are available on the web for anyone who would like to review that and be reminded of the overall project. We also have a project website, www.michigan.gov/BWB Plaza. Copious amounts of information as well as my contact. Anyone of the elected officials or the general public who would like to ask questions and get a one-on-one about the project are welcome to contact me. In the past, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald has come, Councilmember Hunza, Councilmember Payton, you're all welcome. And most recently, Mayor Ashford. This is effectively the same picture, but it reminds us of the construction components of the project. Blue is what is currently in construction, green will follow. The northern area that's kind of pink and orange and the yellow area are awaiting appropriations from the federal government for U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So the timeline on those is yet to be determined. So here's our project schedule. Where the yellow line is, that's where we are. We've begun construction on component 1, and we're kind of dead center on the procurement for component 2, which is the southern expansion of the plaza. And you can kind of follow through. The reason why the final acceptance for component 1 isn't until 2028 is not because we're going to be in construction for that whole time. It's to allow the landscaping to be established and other things. All of the road work is expected to be finished this year. What will be left next spring is noise walls along the west side of the plaza. We expect that everything else will be complete. And then as far as component 2, contract award next spring, we expect a lot of 2026 to be more administrative and then really see heavy construction beginning in 2027 for 2 years. It's design build, so we'll learn more as we make it through the procurement process in the coming months. So, what's under construction right now? There's these 4 main areas. Starting at the left, on the freeway. Right now, we're maintaining 1 lane of freeway traffic in the purple. And we hope to move to a 2-lane scheme in mid to late August. We're gonna see how things go. On the connector right now, we're maintaining traffic. The connector is the ramp from I-94 to Pine Grove. We're maintaining traffic on the existing ramp, and we will continue to do so until the September-ish timeframe, at which point the new ramp will be ready. And then Pine Grove, of course, is 1 lane in each direction. The southern leg of 10th Avenue has been completed. If the weather cooperates with us this week, we will be moving over to the other side of Pine Grove entirely on this Saturday, the 19th. And then finally, in the red, there will be a lane closure when we get to the construction of the noise wall along the business loop. The detours for 10th Avenue is pretty simple. It's Stone Street. I've been encouraging people to, if at all possible, find their own way, whatever they prefer around the construction. It just makes it easier. It's safer for the people working, and it's less frustrating for any commuters. The work out on the freeway is about a half a mile of reconstruction, and what that proposes to do, and you can kind of see it up at the top, is add a lane so we have a little bit more capacity heading to the bridge, and it's easier for the people who want to stay in the United States to understand if they stay to the right, then they will do that and stay to the left and approach the plaza. And then the reconfiguration of Pine Grove and 10th, again, currently under construction. You can sort of see the badly skewed intersection that used to exist. It's shown in the left diagram, and what we're doing to make those 90-degree tie-ins, add lots of nice trees and landscaping, and make it just a much more safe and pleasant place to be, whether you're in a car, on a bike, on your feet, whatever it is. And then, again, The overall plaza expansion for the work that is fully funded by both CVP and MDOT now will result in what you see on the screen. There will be interim inspection for CBP, and again, that's Customs and Border Protection, to the north where duty-free currently is. Duty-free will be interior to the plaza. No one will ever have to exit the freeway again to be a customer of duty-free. That's a huge improvement. In the meantime, we have partnered, and I neglected to mention Chief Kerrigan, but with the mayor, with the chief, and with others from the city to make some adjustments, and they seem to have been very successful. As recently as Friday, I got a phone call from a very pleased local commuter that goes to Canada to take care of an elderly parent, and she thanked us all for the efforts we put in to reserve that local that local ramp off Pine Grove for local traffic. So, thanks Chief Kerrigan, if you're here. And then this, again, components 1 through 4 and all the associated buildings. This was kind of a late add to the presentation as a result of some questions I received about what you can expect to see from Scott Avenue after we complete this work. Now, just a reminder, currently we're building the relocated ramp and the noise walls. And this is the houses on Scott Avenue. This is Scott Avenue itself. This is the wall. And these 3 sections are from these 3 vantage points, A, B, and C. So A looks through this existing building on the plaza. It's called the Truck Cargo Inspection Facility. And the proposed CBP outbound inspection building. And you can see the elevation on Scott Avenue. I know these numbers are too small, but this will be published to the web as well as in the city council minutes, so you can examine it closer. But the sight line from even the top of a 2-story house on Scott Avenue, you may just see a little bit of this peeking out, but you won't see a big obtrusive building in the skyline. Duty-free store, same story. This is the section B, and then section C actually goes through our new tolling operation, which is moving to the west. And, you know, again, with this distance, none of the infrastructure that's proposed will be visible. Another thing that will be visible in the future, and you can sort of see it peeking out over the wall here, that is the TCIF. That's on the existing elevated plaza. So a little bit of the roof, depending on the time of year, tree canopy may peek out over that.
And just, I'm sorry, Carrie, just to make it more real, that's the wall that she keeps referring to.
Yes,
You know,
this is
because
the
we can
wall.
sit out there, but we don't understand, you don't make it English like, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's the wall that's going up.
Yep, it's an aesthetic brick patterned wall. It was designed according to an aesthetic design guide that refers to the architecture of Port Huron, and it was presented to the public. And then the Pine Grove connector is the ramp, and this is the green area across the street from Scott Avenue. You can see it varies in width. It's narrow here at 57 feet, the widest down here at 76 feet, and then of course here, as you approach Pine Grove, it's a bigger open green area. We're adding trees. We have done our absolute best to retain the mature trees and not take them out. There's going to be a multi-use path, decorative lighting that is scaled. It's only about 12 or 13 feet high with lower wattage, intended for the pedestrians to feel comfortable on that multi-use path. Benches, other things. So with that, I wasn't looking at the clock, but I think I stayed within my 5 to 10 minutes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that we may have.
So, any of the council members have any questions?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So, one, we appreciate all the communication and the outreach of the events has been really amazing. I guess I did have a couple questions. Like, in the earlier presentations, there were assumptions on, you know, the amount of traffic making the numbers work. I was just, how is the business doing, or the traffic? Is it better than what they thought what it was, especially like with, you know, Gordie Howe opening? I'm just curious with the traffic numbers, like year-to-date, or, what you guys look at?
Right now, what we're looking at is our passenger traffic is down since the tariff announcements and other things. But our truck traffic is steady and increasing. And hence the need to make some of the adjustments we made to make sure that we could have the throughput that we'd be satisfied with. Ambassador Bridge tolls are more than triple ours.
Right.
And we think that that is the reason. The diversion studies that were done for the Gordie Howe Bridge project indicated a pretty minimal diversion. We serve a different corridor than the Detroit crossings. However, Gordie Howe will be able to accept loads that the Ambassador Bridge cannot. So I think 5% or something like that.
Okay.
And, we can use every dollar we collect at our toll booth, but at the same time, I think Amy would agree with me that we wouldn't mind sharing a little bit right now.
Right.
Just to make it more comfortable for those who want to use our bridge. We've seen some fairly significant backups, particularly later in the week over the course of the spring, so.
And actually, that was my next question. The added freeway, the actual plaza that's getting done will not relieve the trucks that are on the highway, but that extra lane, you're hoping a half mile will a little bit capacity?
Yes, we expect that will. Some of the reconfigurations that we've done up top, kind of as a test case right now, will probably keep in the future. I mean, the ultimate solution is getting duty-free inside the plaza, because that will make a big difference to at least Pine Grove. We won't have trucks lining up on Pine Grove. But we do expect, and we will always continue to monitor, but that honestly, that area has never worked great. We get daily people on the plaza who didn't intend to be there.
Right.
And we have to turn them around, or worst case scenario, they kind of get a little discombobulated and turn themselves around, which of course terrifies all of us, because we don't want any incidents of wrong way traffic and that sort of thing.
Right. So yeah, I think that's one thing just for the visual eye that, you've seen, it seems the trucks are backing up more, but maybe that's, a solution to help with it and monitor it as it goes. And then I guess the last question is, phase 2 and 3 then is not based on any traffic metrics. It's sold as like protection or federal funding, right?
The main purpose and need of the project, and this is available in my previous presentations as well as on the project website, is safe, efficient handling of traffic as well as homeland security.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily a capacity increase project, but we are taking the opportunity to, for example, let me get back to a good picture. If we do end up with somebody in the plaza in the future who doesn't want to be there, we have a turnaround right immediately at tolls. So they don't right now, we're turning them around way up here. So, and then we're gonna have 2 lanes everywhere in the plaza, minimum. So if there's any kind of a breakdown, then there's always a way for someone to get out of the way, and that applies to during the construction as well as the final product. Mayor Ashford? Oh, I thought you were
No.
gesturing.
No, I was saying, when you said turn around, they have an exit, they can just get off, they don't
Right,
have
if
to
they,
keep
if
going.
they actually will pause and say, hey, I'm not going to Canada, then we have the ability to help them right here as opposed to having them travel all the way through the plaza, which is the current condition. So, and then just having this extra circulation area, our whole point is tolls. We never intend to line up traffic within the plaza, and we always meter what goes on the bridge. We never want to see a bunch of traffic backed up and stuck on the bridge, because we want emergency response to be able to get through if needed. And we're also sensitive to the loading on the bridge. So really, this improvement is much more towards better handling of both the local and international traffic. Does that help?
It does, and thanks to you and your team again for all the information and being proactive.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just a question to piggyback on that. I thought in the original presentation, the idea was a lot of the I know not the big backups we've had lately, because that'd be impossible, but I thought a lot of that was to be within that loop and not out on the highway.
Well, the traffic circulation studies we've done, and there are animations that have been shown at the public involvement, and I can provide if needed. show traffic flowing. We don't, like I said, we don't intend to have traffic backed up inside the plaza. There's concerns about pollution and all that sort of thing for not only the people who work there, but the surrounding areas. Right now, 20 years in the future, at peak AM and peak PM is what we call it, morning and afternoon, our animations, our studies from the traffic studies show traffic flowing. We'll see. I mean, in 20 years, I won't be here to see it, but we'll be watching very carefully and always adjusting to be sure that we manage traffic as optimally as possible.
So in the event that it's not flowing, if I remember correctly, your intent is to shut that down and keep them out onto the highway, not let
Yes.
them get up there and be running idle that close to the neighborhoods, correct?
That's exactly right. The whole point is tolls, it is now, and it's up here. In the future, it'll be back here.
Thank you.
So we have our 24/7 ops center that monitors the traffic, and as they see things becoming congested, they notify the toll operators to hold. So that's how it works.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
that's an important point. It's something that we requested MDOT put in writing, which they have done, that they won't allow stacking. They were able to avoid a environmental review on their new design by saying it wasn't changing that much. And the EPA representative for our region essentially concurred with me and our engineers that if you did have trucks stacked and idling there, it could present an environmental danger to the surrounding neighborhoods. So based on that, we requested in writing that MDOT assure us that there will be no stacking. So if this does get built and there is stacking there under the Environmental Protection Laws, the Clean Air Act, we will have to take legal action to make sure that that stacking doesn't occur, because to protect those residents. So we did ask it in writing. It was one of the things we would not sign off on until it was done. And our city attorney believes that we have enough, should stacking be there and present a danger to those residents, that we can take action in the federal courts.
Yeah. And another thing we've done in response to some of that dialogue, over a year ago, we worked with EGLE, the Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment, another fellow state department, and we installed something called a purple air sensor right about here. And the information for that is on our project website. Sorry, I'll point again. It's
Oh, okay.
right here near Scott
You're making me
Avenue.
nervous, that dot running all over there. I'm thinking,
I know. So we've been monitoring the air
Yeah.
quality continuously for the last year, so we have some
Yeah.
pre-construction benchmarks.
And we-
So that there will be data post-construction to demonstrate that we haven't made anything worse. And if we have, again, as Mr. Freed said, we've made a public commitment to provide whatever mitigation is necessary.
and I think you talked about that with me. You went over that, and you guys are prepared for that as a team to counter that issue. So that's been done and kind of put in the package till it start activating, showing itself. So thank you so much for that. And the reason, we kind of wanted you here is that, Pine Grove, we're going this way and that way, how long is that going to be interrupted?
It'll be approximately November before.
Why don't you come up?
Okay, yeah, people want to hear that at home too. Everybody, you're going down Pine Grove, I got to go down here, take the scenic route. They need to know what's going on, so let us know.
Like Kerry was saying, right now we're in stage 1 of Pine Grove with one lane of traffic moving each direction.
Okay.
Stage 2 is a similar situation. It'll just be on the other side of the road. So we're, like she had indicated, weather permitting, we should be able to get the asphalt paving completed on stage 1. We'll then move traffic over into stage 2. We'll
Great.
be riding on the asphalt that had just been put down and continue on, wash, rinse, repeat. We'll get it done. Right now, we're still on schedule. Unless something unforeseeable comes up, we should be hitting the November date for getting everybody back to traveling the way that we're on Pine Grove.
Okay, November, so they can look to that to kind of cease in there, okay. And then also, I'd like to congratulate you and your A-team sitting out there, how you quickly did 10th Street and made that happen. I mean, and we were getting a headache with that, kind of thing. And where the public came in is that, like you mentioned, Carrie, they weren't happy, and they just contacted them, and we got together and Brian, our chief, came up, in consultation and came up with just a vehicle lane, the vehicle, is that what that was? He put through
Yeah, we
the, where the
isolated the local
vehicle?
right off Pine
Yeah.
Grove to just passenger cars at this point
Mhm.
in order to keep the trucks standing
Right.
in line on the freeway, like the civilized is what I say, instead of taking their shortcut.
Yeah, and then we also have noticed that, you used to see it on the weekends primarily where all the trucks are backed all the way up to Marysville, and now it's like Thursday and, Wednesday. So is that what's to come? Do you have any projection as far as that truck traffic?
Gordie House should provide some relief when they open,
Okay.
which, the date has kind of bounced around, so I don't want to talk on behalf of that project.
Right.
But, Amy, I guess this is you.
Okay.
It's a hard question to answer.
Oh, it's all right.
So, if the toll rates remain the same, and we are
Oh.
not aware of what the Gordie Howe toll rates are going to be at this point,
Right.
and whether or not the ambassador will reflect those same
Mm-hmm.
toll rates, at this point, like Carrie had already mentioned, our toll rates are 3 times less than what they currently charge, and that is enough of an economic impact for the commercial carriers to utilize a different crossing. So, as a state asset, we are to make enough money to operate and maintain, but we are not a private business, and all of the fees that we charge are not to create excess funding.
Oh, okay.
And so, we base our toll rates off of how much money we need to maintain and improve
Operations.
infrastructure into the future. And so, our toll rates will not change, with the exception of December 1st, which was the $1 increase that was already,
Built in.
announced to the public last December. And so, it's a tough question to answer. There are some variables out there that we don't have answers to right now as far as commercial trade is concerned between Canada and the United States. That continues to be a dialogue that will continue to happen. And so, but as of right now, our commercial traffic is maintaining its current status quo.
Good.
Our passenger traffic is down about 30%. And so there is a little bit of compensation there between the two. The other thing that I would be remiss kind of not to discuss is our partnership with Michigan State Police. And, we recognize that we are not an enforcement agency, but we can see some of the troubles with the commercial carriers and kind of them taking up all of the lanes out onto the freeway. And so we are in routine communication with our commercial carrier enforcement division with MSP. And they have been instrumental in reminding our commercial carriers which lanes they should be staying into so that our regular commuters can also utilize the freeway. They can't be there 24/7, but we have requested their assistance, and they've had quite a presence for us. So, but with the addition of that lane that we're working on right now and the reconfiguration out by the maintenance garage, it will allow for 2 lanes for our commercial traffic.
Oh, that's good.
And so that's something that should have a relatively positive impact for our local commuters.
Okay. And then my last question, did anybody else have any more? Well, my last question is that, through this whole process, when you and I met, Carrie, I said, well, what did MDOT, what did you do for us? The amenities and stuff that you built, how did you stay that course? What did you give us in return in way of benefits through this whole project? Like you kept the trees and you called all some other things that you did for the,
Well, we made sure that we pushed the geometrics to the absolute limit on that south side of the plaza to allow us to leave the green area. On the project website, the environmental studies have an appendix at the end that's called the green sheet that outlines all of the mitigation that was offered for the project. And there was a substantial financial payments that have been made over the course from 2009 until now and continuing. it was important to me, you know, kind of my value add when I was named the project manager. The purpose and need used to specify international traffic, the safe, efficient handling of international traffic. I added local traffic to that.
Oh, okay.
Because I was kind of new to Port Huron at the time, lived right there in the Optimus Park neighborhood, and I could see that some of the spilling over of the commercial traffic, particularly onto Pine Grove, made it a lot harder for the residents of this community to use their main thoroughfare from downtown all the way out to Fort Gratiot. So that was important to me, and that's what caused the change of the entrance ramp. And I guess I probably didn't mention that in my remarks, but instead of going on the freeway on Pine Grove here like you do currently, in the future you'll do it off the business loop back here. So people will have to cross Hancock and come to tolls this way, as opposed to the current circle ramp. So, you know, just taking away any incentive that anyone, particularly commercial traffic, might have to exit the freeway and try and cut the line by using the local access to the plaza. Because in the future, if someone chooses to do that, exit here, traffic light, traffic light, traffic light, and then have to come here. So it disincentivizes the idea of using that shortcut, we hope. And again, our traffic modeling follows that.
Yeah. And I think the reconfiguration of the skewed intersection, you know, that was an add to the project based on the feedback that we heard during our public meetings. And, you know, we were able to go back and take a look and allow for that to be within our project boundaries. And, you know, that's about a $20 million commitment of Blue Water Bridge funds that it's costing for that intersection to be updated. So that was not proposed as part of the original part of the project, but we heard loud and clear from the public that they would appreciate, you know, some updates to that intersection. So we were able to do that, but at a cost of about $20 million of Blue Water Bridge funds. In addition to that, we have been able to, and it's completed now, have an agreement with DTE. And the substation that was previously resided inside the perimeter of the project has been moved to its new location, and that infrastructure was also updated. That substation was significantly old infrastructure, and in order for us to make that happen, Blue Water Bridge had a $35 million investment. That project was not slated to be updated. It was not on DTE's list of top projects until we came to them and said, we could have left the current substation where it was. We didn't think it was the best, although we could have made it work. It was an opportunity for the land that MDOT did own, which was prime space for DTE, to do the upgrades, but it was at an investment of $35 million from Blue Water. So we have had a significant monetary investment in those two projects also.
Well, thank you so very much. I guess nobody have any more questions, but I'd like to thank you and keep up the good work. And it was important for you all to come before us because we represent the City of Port Huron. We're transparent. They need to know what's going on. You know, and they need to know when they can get down the street and how much and all the investments that you're making, not just the funding part, but, you know, all the skill set and all the heart you guys are putting into this. We appreciate that very much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will continue at this time, our public comment section. If anyone in the audience wishes to address the City Council on any agenda item or any matter under the city's jurisdiction, now is the time to do so. You are allotted one 4-minute opportunity to make your comments. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address for the record. Oh,
Good evening, Mayor.
well, hello there. Oh, you just want me to finish my spiel, huh?
Ben Harris, 1521 Wells Street, Port Huron, Michigan.
Okay.
Number of topics I'd like to bring here tonight and stuff. I know the one I remind you in the spring and stuff of the people on 17th Street and the people in the 1700 block on Wall
17th.
had, all of them we had broken water lines in those areas. And besides getting them back serviced, there's been no corrective effort to fix the streets in front of these places. The 17th Street petition between Pine and Wall Street is probably the worst one. I'd say it's got 8 or 9 patches already. But this is something that's ongoing, but I'd like to see if it could be taken care of. I guess the other thing that we're talking about, that neighborhood over there, is it was brought to my attention. One of the neighbors said, you know, what's going on with the Roosevelt School? And my understanding, after contacting the Roosevelt School and stuff, is because of some vandalism and stuff like that, they have had to close the playground area down on Roosevelt. And that's a neighborhood playground and stuff, and I understand that their responsibility is to the taxpayers and stuff. And what they've kind of come back a little bit. When the one janitor is there, he'll unlock one gate and they go in and use the playground. But other than that, the playground is off limits. And I don't know if it's our police department covering the neighborhoods and stuff like that. I think if we take a second look and work with this Port Huron Area School District and put that playground back online. Another thing that stands out, I guess, really to me tonight, and I won't go through all of them, but I looked at the change orders under our payments and stuff tonight. We had 8 change orders that these contractors have submitted, and it's almost $900,000. You know, I'm not going to be around many years and stuff, so I'm not going to inherit many of those debts and stuff like that. But, you know, my kids, my grandkids and stuff like that, your grandkids and kids, if you all live in Port Huron, it's going to affect them. I think we got to get some control over these change orders. We can't have these contractors out doing these jobs. The one of them was $592,000 change order, Russell Court. That's 2 city blocks, I think. That turned into a gold mine to somebody. But other than that, thank you. I'd like to speak against, I forget the process number, but I understand tonight you're going to select a media representative. And I think before we do that, I think we should announce for competitive bids. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next.
My name is Joe Foster. I live at 2804 Elmwood Street, and I'm new to Port Huron. I moved up here, my wife and I moved up here from Colorado last August, bought a home there on Elmwood, and the reason being is we wanted to be close to this water. There's no water in Colorado. So we moved up here, bought a house on the canal there, and when we moved in, everybody said, you know, the water's down real low, but it comes and goes, and you know, we knew that was going to happen, but we bought a pontoon boat. I get back up here this spring after I'd sold my business in Colorado and got moved back up here finally, and the water's even worse. And there's no way, my neighbor and I here have plowed our way through there in our canal with our pontoon boats. We've ruined 2 props, but I had the police called on me because I had my pontoon boat parked alongside the road. And I was on Riverwood and Elmwood. I'm right there on that corner. And a lady from the town came over. The police had notified her or them, her office, and she wanted a 30-day plan, what my plan was. And I said, well, I'm going to throw that right back to you. What's your plan on the next 30 days to get this canal open so I can get my boat in the water? Well, long story short, we got our boats in, but we plowing through the mud. It's about a foot deep there that we're getting our boats in. And I'm talking to a guy the other day that's putting in a seawall there on I think the center canal. And I was telling him that we were told that because we've got a new seawall going in there on our block, that if we would pay this contractor a certain amount of money, that he would open up our canal so that we can get our boats in and out of there. And this fellow said, why in the world would you do that? He said, that's the city's responsibility to keep these canals open so that we can get our boats out of the canals and into the Black River. And so he said, Google it. So I did, and if I approach you here, I've got it didn't print the whole article out, but it printed out enough right there. And I'll read this so the rest of the people that can hear it. It says, in Port Huron, the responsibility for maintaining the canal system including keeping the canals open to the Black River, rest with the city of Port Huron. Specifically, the city manager and their designated staff oversee the operation and maintenance of the water system, which includes the canals. So when I read this was a week ago, I went into Mr. Freed's office and was hoping I could catch him. And this was after I had left the office downstairs because I just received my new tax bill and my taxes are over $7,000, which I about died when I opened up that envelope. And I'm thinking, I'm paying $7,000 and I can't even get my boat down here, you know? And so I left all of my information with a fella in the office, and he assured me that Mr. Freed would get back with me, but Mr. Freed, I haven't heard from you. That was a week ago.
I tried, I had the wrong number.
Excuse me, just address the council.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted.
Yeah.
So anyway, I haven't heard from Mr. Freed yet, but that's my question. And going back to what you said earlier about having your legislatures here last weekend, you're right. This is an amazing, amazing community, and with what you've got going on.
I'm sorry, your time is up. You had 4 minutes and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff, maybe you can continue. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jeff
Put it down.
Whitinger. I live at 2816 Elmwood.
Okay, say that again. What's your name?
My name's Jeff Whitinger.
Jeff.
At 2816 Elmwood.
Okay.
Right
Thank you.
next door to this Joe. What he was saying was exactly right. The point he was about to make is we have a water community here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into what you've already been going to with the canal to the lake. I know those are other issues. But we have 3 canals where we live, and the neighbors were talking about pulling together money to get them dredged out. And everything we've seen so far says, well, that's a city responsibility. We're taxed for it. What's the process to get that done? Is that my question? What's our process to get that done?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have to say.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. We don't go back and forth, but we have recorded that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Suzanne O'Brien, 2849 Canal Drive. I'm your new neighbor. Hi. I was born and raised here in my youth, moved back here in my middle age because after living in, what most young people would consider pretty exciting places, this is it for me. We have a beautiful community. We have everything you could imagine needing here. We have access to big city stuff. We have access to water all over the place. The kindest of people. And I was so excited to be back in the community. I bought a home on the canal, always been a water girl. And lo and behold, I had the same problem. It wasn't so much that the depth wasn't there in the canal, I measured it. And so I thought, okay, I'm good. The problem was that Black River at the mouth of that canal is about a foot deep, and that's it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna make lemonade, I'll deal with this, I'll learn, I'll get educated, I'm not gonna make fires where I don't understand things, and put the wave runner in the water, thinking I don't need a lot of depth for this. I put my 14-year-old daughter with special needs on the back of it, and we go tooling down Black River, and just the other side, the fast side of the no-wake buoy by Riverside boat launch, I started to accelerate. This was about 3 weeks ago, and we hit an instant stop. And the drivetrain on the wave runner quit. I hit a sandbar. I was able to hold us on, thank God. There was no injury. But imagine what could happen when people who aren't familiar with the water or don't understand how it's changed could be injured. So my question is, whose responsibility is it to make sure that Black River is navigable? Not only so that we can benefit from the taxes we're paying to live where we live, but also so that when people come visit our town, they don't have this negative experience. And they want to come back and buy a vacation property or a retirement property. I'm a real estate broker. This is really important for us to fix. I tried to get educated. I've heard, okay, it's the canal gate. The city is responsible because they weren't there to open it when it needed to be opened, and now it's damaged, and now we're looking for a federal grant. But we need a shorter-term fix for this that I thought, from what I understand, was already budgeted for, but somehow that money was recast. So I'm here to get educated. We have quite a few people, as you can see, who have concerns about this. Not just me as an individual, but for the greater good of the city. Something needs to be done or someone's going to get hurt. It's not just about property damage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council this evening?
Hello, my name is Mark Pack, 3906 Access Place, Fort Gratiot is where I reside. I just have a couple questions. The one question is, who's paying for this bridge expansion? Is my first question.
You don't ask us questions. Okay.
I got it.
Okay, that's okay, but we take note of it.
The second question is, I spent all day looking up your DEI inclusion, whatever you guys want to call it, but I understand that the federal government has cut that off, and I understand in Port Huron, a white woman is considered as a minority, and a lot of the money that is supposed to go to the people it's supposed to be going to isn't going there, is a major concern to me. And another one was, boat night was terrible. The way it was set up, it was, I'm not even gonna speak on that, but there is definitely a problem that needs to be addressed. We had maybe 1 or 2 local vendors, and when I say local vendors that reside in Port Huron, and I think it definitely needs to be addressed, for sure, 100%. What else did I have? And a lot of the money that was supposed to be allocated. So I spent all day looking this up, and the only race that I could find on that DEI was Hispanics. But on boat night, guess who I didn't see? I didn't see any Hispanics. And it's taxpayer money who funds these police officers. And I was one of the people that was out there. It was maybe 12:30, where they did one big sweep. It was only maybe 20 to 30 black people out there, but this is what your boat night looks like without black people.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, citizens of Port Huron. My name is Craig Schlinker. I live at 2413 Stone. I served this country 20 years in the United States Navy, completing 7 deployments, qualified master training specialist with 6 years as an instructor, 3 forward deployed, 3 as an inspector for the West Coast Weapons School. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and I meant it. I understand the price of freedom, and in my service I have seen what despotic bureaucrats look like. That oath does not expire with retirement, and I am not going to stand by while the rights I fought for and defended are ignored, especially at home. My family has lived in this region since the 1800s. Port Huron is not my hometown, it's part of my legacy, and I believe it's worth standing up for. Last week, I was trespassed from City Hall after a second confrontation with the city manager. I am now restricted from access for performing normal business in this building. On Wednesday of last week, the city manager, in an email chain, stated that he would provide a copy of video footage related to previous interaction in which I believe he harassed me while I was lawfully filing a FOIA request. He said I could come collect that video from him, and I'll return the next day with the thumb drive, right here. When I found him, he moved the goalposts, stating I needed to now do a formal FOIA down with the clerk. So I did. I went to the city clerk's office to submit it, and there, already waiting for me, was Mr. Freed. As I approached the window, Freed began to speak to me, not the clerk, not one of their assistants, Why he felt the need to be at that window after reneging on his word, I am unsure. But seeing as how he was aware I intended to file a formal complaint for his actions the day before and moving goalposts now, I'm sure it wasn't anything less than nefarious. Is everything all right? What kind of question is that after you've asked me? I told him directly I was frustrated, and rightly so. He had changed the terms despite what he had written to me the day before, apparently doing as you say. And saying as you do isn't the jam that man runs to. I then read about the exact words from his own email. When I looked up from reading it, he was already walking down the hallway. And in that moment of exasperation, I declared one word: tyrant. That's it. And now I'm trespassed. That wasn't a disruption. That wasn't a threat. That was a citizen, a veteran, engaging with his government through a lawful process, being misled, ignored, and then punished for not accepting it quietly. When I tried to file a police report regarding my experience, the police department refused to take it. I had to go to the sheriff's. This is not new. It's a pattern one of the previous council and this community have witnessed before. I previously brought up to this council concerns about unlawful parking enforcement. I felt like it was parking roulette. When I raised it with the PHPD, I was told, we're following orders and take it to court. That's not accountability, that's shrug and pass. After I pressed hard enough, the city manager revoked PHPD's authority to issue parking tickets that time. That is an implicit admission that what was happening was not right. Mr. Freed, however, did refuse to return the money that was taken from citizens for that faulty parking. That's not leadership, that's opportunism. When I followed up on the issue with the city manager directly, the words were clear. We don't keep track of where we ticket parking, and nothing in this town gets done unless I say so. That's autocratic. How much more of this will be tolerated? How many more citizens will be misled, blocked, or silenced before the city council does something? To the city council, you're the elected oversight of this city. Act like it.
Your time is up,
Thank
Mr.
you, Mayor.
Slinker. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, now you know I have to keep decorum up here, and I know when you feel like you do that, but we don't have to overdo it. I'm talking, it's my meeting. So, you know what, and when it gets too bad, that's why we have officers, because I can tell them to, usher you out like you're in church or something. So let's just keep it real and be still and let's have a meeting in order. You may speak.
Julian Ruck, Polly's Place. What we have here is a failure to communicate. It's not my fault. I've been coming down here years. It's not my fault. I've been sending emails. Mr. Pemberton, you've complained about how many emails I've sent, and you've never once responded to one. You've refused to meet with me in person, ever. You have never taken a tour of Polly's Place or any garden space I've organized in this community. And you have twice defamed me on public record, lied about me, encouraged other people to defame me, and they did.
You know what? No. I just want to go back and read what I read, and I know all about the First Amendment, right, and everything.
No, you're interrupting me.
But
You don't get to
anything
interrupt
under
me.
the city's jurisdiction.
This is his behavior is under his
okay.
jurisdiction.
Well, link it together and make it
Yeah.
so, okay, but just
Mayor
start
Ashford,
recording.
I'm not your enemy.
No, I'm not, and you're not mine.
You're interrupting
As a matter
me
of
in
fact,
my
I
free
love
speech
everybody.
moment, so
And I'm gonna
that's
give
a
you back
problem.
this minute and a half, but I just want you to know, we're not up here to sit here and throw stones at people. Yeah,
I am here to hold people accountable. That's what
and
this
you should
position
do
is
that.
for.
You should
That
do
is
that,
the
because
First
you elect
Amendment.
us. No,
Okay?
don't take up no more time.
So I can
Okay.
speak to any individual up here I want. I
Yeah.
can speak out loud to the room if I want. I can
Yeah.
turn this way and speak out loud to the room if I want. This is my time, okay?
No,
You
and
have-
I could tell you.
You have put
yeah.
in rules since Mayor
Yeah.
Ashford. I respect you.
And I respect you.
Anita
And I
asked-
respect all those sitting out here in front of us. So go ahead, just go ahead and resume where you are. I just don't want you to get off the track and just be, dousing people up here. Go ahead.
Julian Ruck, Polly's Place. What we have here is a failure to communicate. That is not my fault. And yet, I have paid for it. These past several years have cost me many thousands of dollars, many hundreds of hours of additional labor, everything I own in this world, and I am still in about $5,000 worth of personal debt to friends and loved ones because of this journey. I had to sue the city of Port Huron to get where we are today with the new Polly's Place. James and Pauline did not wake up one day and decide to play nice. I sued the city, and this was our out-of-court settlement. It cost me $11,900 in legal fees. I was paid $14,000 for my 2 lots as the trade-off, and most of that went to pay off the remaining legal fees and partial payoff to my investors. It was all gone in like a week and a half. I don't know, I don't understand. I'm on my 3rd business entity in this community. We need new businesses, we need new businesses. How many businesses fall into the wayside? Which is more likely to bring joy and happiness to this community? Polly's Place or the Wrigley Center? Which is more likely to bring positive international fame to this community? Polly's Place or the Wrigley Center? I keep coming to you, and I've never been given more than 4 minutes. I've been refused it because James said so. He's the reason I started coming down here. Before y'all met me, he'd already put a year's worth of hindrance and struggle in front of me. And before that, I'd already been growing for a year. You can ask Ken Harris. He was there, he saw that, beginning in 2020. Mayor Ashford, I know you are a religious person. I am not. However, if at any point in this journey, Christ himself came and spoke to me in these gardens, it was in that very first year when a local neighbor came up to me, shame dripping from his body, apologizing for stealing greens from the free garden I'd installed. But he was diabetic, and he had a cane, and he felt horrible about it. And I was producing that for him for free. He just didn't know that. The shame people associate with offering free food to others is the biggest struggle in this journey. What I am doing for this community needs be done. And I am best positioned and qualified to do it. Stop listening to him, start listening to me.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come before the council? Thank you.
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th Street. And when I'm done, I'm just going to grab my purse and leave because I'm about up to here tonight. Mr. Ruck, your garden on Ellenbrooks that you didn't take care of.
I'm not even mad at that anymore. You're such a lying piece of shit.
Okay.
Anyway, as far as the bridge construction goes, I've been married to a Canadian for 45 years. We've been battling this for more than 45 years when we were dating. I can tell you this is the best construction season ever. They are doing an awesome job. My husband is happy because the local access is preserved. They worked with the state police, got the trucks to the other side. so life can go on. This has been awesome. Now, on the bad side, there's two houses across the street from me. They were both sold within a month of each other. I believe both owners are from the east side of Detroit. So here we are importing people. I was out on my porch one afternoon. Here comes the blight officer with his ruler measuring the grass. The guy had lived there for 2 weeks. So I opened up my mouth and I said, really? Do you really need to be doing that? I knew the guy had been living there for 2 weeks. It was already on utilities. The city must have known. My point is, can we just welcome people instead of, you guys know who's bought and sold houses as easily as I do. How about just keeping track of that and sending people a letter saying, this is your garbage day, this length of grass is gonna get you in trouble, welcome to Port Huron, instead of having the blight officer coming and measuring his grass. That's it. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. McCready. Sir?
How you doing, ma'am?
Fine, how are you?
This is Robert Cowper. I'm from 710 32nd Street, Port Huron Township. But I work for the city. I do a lot of deliveries and stuff of that nature. I just got a couple things to just tell the people here. Go to the book of the Michigan Constitution. Know your rights. Go to Article 1, Section 7. Go to your Article 1, Section 17, the MCL 15151, because the corporation is gone. Common law is coming back. With Donald Trump coming in power, the common law is coming back, and the military right now is in charge. So that's why you guys don't have no gold fringe on that flag.
Thank you.
Rusty Fournier, downtown business owner. I was the one that sent the email today, if you guys read it or not. I'm trying to offer an olive branch between the business owners. We have talked, and downtown about the parking situation. As you can see, the reason why I'm wanting to get this away from the city council, we don't need this, you know, with all the other type of talking that's going on here. Last thing I want to say is how ironic it is that I'm sitting here talking about the parking situation when on 5/23/23 was last time I was here to talk about the parking situation. And Chief Kerrigan, you remember that night?
Excuse me, just address the council, sir.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. You too, and thank you for coming.
Good evening, Curtis Carl, Port Huron Township. First, I'm going to start by thanking you guys for fixing behind the boardwalk there. I know it's not a permanent fix, but putting some gravel in there and making things functional so we can use one of the entities of the city, like the boardwalk, the fishermen are all happy again. I'm happy. Everything's great. If we'd have took that approach with the canal and just fixed that Tainer Gate and dug that bad boy out and waited for money, we'd be in a lot better position. That obviously didn't happen. That $250,000 to stop us from kayaking through there and just maybe pulling a boat up the sandbar. Money not well spent, but hey, here we are. But I do want to thank you for just putting a Band-Aid on something that needed a Band-Aid. Because we've got a lot of them, and sometimes you guys hear me, because the last time I spoke, or a few times ago, you did go down Water Street after I spoke that day, and you tried to put more in there. There's a lot more that could be done, but my CD player is almost not skipping, but we're getting closer. I'm old school. All right, the Chinese drone show for the Blue Water Fest. Americans don't want to see these Chinese drones. They want to see fireworks. Boom! You know, we want to see cool stuff. So like when you go to Frankenmuth, maybe you guys could get with their tourism group over there. They do a lot of good festivals, one being the Auto Fest, fireworks, of course. They've got a lot of good things going. Maybe you guys could lean on that. There's a lot of people unhappy on the sewer of social media. Not happy with the layout of the Blue Water Fest. I don't really care either way. It was nice to see it spread out. The only thing people complained about, food trucks, they probably should have been all in one spot. Jamaican jerk guy was hidden somewhere. Somebody barely found him. I know he's got good stuff. So maybe a few improvements on that. Definitely the drones. We need fireworks. The bike path termination. MDOT people, thanks for staying. You got barely enough room. Are we still here? I won't talk directly to you. All right, the guy from Dan's, there's enough pavement there, or cement, maybe we could open that bike path up and some of them temporary barricades, because it's hard to get two bikes coming through. We've had to stop, and it dumps right off on Mansfield. I'm glad you guys put a sidewalk there for us to still use it until the permanent fix. I was looking at your rendition there, looks pretty cool. Looks like we're gonna end up crossing down by Mansfield and 10th Street. Wondering about the bowling alley, maybe we could talk after. I'm very concerned about that. With all the issues we have and some of the time that we've spent up here, and you redo that charter or whatever governs this city, term limits. Look at it, think about it. We need some fresh meat up here. And then these poor people, you're still here, the taxes that they pay on the water. That's one of the reasons I live in Port Huron Township and trailer my boat. I can't afford to live on a canal that can't be used. I'm young enough to remember that it has been dug out, and I'm too young to know who paid for it. I grew up on Black River my whole life, behind my grandparents' house. That was the only way we were allowed to enjoy the water, because we weren't that wealthy. We had a place to go, and we were happy to have that. And we watched them 3 canals across from my grandparents' house get dug out regularly. Barge would come in, not sure if it was Malcolm or whoever, they'd come in, they'd dig it out. We got to take care of these people. They're paying high taxes. Got to do what you can. I think that sums it up for tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Carl. Is there anyone else wishing to address City Council?
Concerned citizen of Port Huron, Michigan, handicap.
Sir, can you?
No, I will not do this, miss. I'll try to be rude, but this town, there's corruption.
Oh, no, I just needed your name and
That's what I won't
address.
do. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to thank the mayor for being a breath of fresh air. After this town and dealing with the same people of corruption of this city and disloyal seat members, you know who you are. I don't need to point fingers. Our time has come here. And during the hours of people paying taxes through these tried and tribulations of time, we see all these roads getting ripped up, which all the back roads never get taken care of. So now what we have is a tax on the roads, like for instance, Stone and Elmwood. Somebody put a patch about this long on one side, not even the whole road, but you'll lose a chunk of your car, it's guaranteed. I was just wondering who I sued for that one. Now, this has gotten out of hand here. Things important here need to be done, and they need to be addressed, and they need to be taken care of. A lot of these people that are on this seats right here, they don't even make it into work, let alone deal with the people properly. And I think things should be addressed on that. Maybe some firing, because there's no reason why you're talking to an empty phone or dealing with an empty head. Now, as a person of Port Huron and a resident of my life, I'm not dealing with this any more than anyone else should. And I wanted to be a name and a person, but I can't be in this town because of the corruption that happens. So I will never tell you my name, and I'm sorry, Mayor, for that. But things need to be taken care of. You're the only person so far that has actually listened to people. Things have been shut down across the line. And it's terrible. We have elderly people that are going hungry in this town. We have people that can't pay their taxes, which keep on going up. Nothing getting done in this town. Now, where are we now on this? Where are we with our waterways being cleaned out? Because if I remember correctly, Black River was a sewer. And if that end isn't cleaned out, it won't wash through. Where's our tax dollars for that? I don't know anybody that doesn't say that, I don't think that we pay enough taxes to fix our problems in Port Huron. The interest accrued could pay for this. I'm sorry to yell, I'm sorry for being loud, but I am aggravated and I am upset and I am let down with most of you up here. And hopefully, something gets done. There should be firings done. There has been corruption of this money. And I would like to see where this money is going and not allocations of money that's frivolously tucked here and tucked there, because this is how it works. It's called a magic act. And guess what? I'm not a magician, and I'm not going to play that game. Thank you, and thank this whole town, city, and the people that didn't care to show up for this town. These are very low numbers, and I'm let down with that, because there's a lot of problems going on here. And our city manager, he should definitely be taking care of a lot of things, and maybe it'd be in his office. But he's too busy running around. Thank you for your time, Mayor, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Be good. Ma'am.
My name's Crystal Mankey. I reside at 1425 Beard Street. There's many, many issues, corruption that's within the city of Port Huron, St. Clair County, the government officials, the Constitution not being upheld. On December 15, 1791, the Bill of Rights consisting of the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution was ratified. That was for the people, for the rights of the people, and for the government officials to uphold their oath to that bond, to that office, before entering upon into his or her office. They are supposed to take this oath. Officers today aren't even taking this oath. They don't know when somebody approaches them with the U.S. Constitution how to respond. They aren't informed properly or properly trained. But when government officials are approached with the United States Constitution and constitutional rights, that should be no game. There is no game to the life, liberty, and freedom of the person. And these courts here in St. Clair County, so corrupt. I've been seeing names for families that live here as residents for years and years, for siblings that have the same last name that commit crimes. They are gone after as a person for being in association with a person, a people. And that, as a government, I feel needs to change. Because we, the people, we have rights. And we have rights to live in this territory of Michigan without the interference of the color of law into our daily practices, our daily lives, our daily liberties that are God-given to us, signed in this Bill of Rights underneath the Constitution of the United States of America. And me, myself, I am a low class. I know it may not look like it. I present myself well. I have 6 children out here in the streets of Port Huron to raise. It's hard enough when you've got inflation, gas prices, let alone now you got to deal with the court systems because of your last name. I feel the court system needs to be wiped out and brought back new. All those Deegan names, they needed to cease. Monahan, Brown, judges that have been judges for many, many, many years. I can recall as a child, Judge Brown, Elwood Brown, friend of the court, having gray hair. That's not something a child, let alone a 35-year-old woman, should ever remember because of the court systems being corrupt here in St. Clair County. Not just St. Clair County, because it's corrupt everywhere. But a lot of it's happening here, and people need to speak up on it. do these First Amendment audits, which are your constitutional right. Go YouTube live.
Excuse me,
when
just
you have-
stay, address it to council.
When people have the right to First Amendment audit, when these officers are avoiding First Amendment audits, officially violating the street code's laws.
Your time is up, and thank you so much. Is there anyone else here wishing to address the council?
Brian Farquhar, 19th Avenue. I'm going to start off by saying I enjoyed boat night for the most part, the activities down there. Numbers were definitely low. I remember being back as a kid, seeing the Times Herald saying 100,000 people attend boat night festivities, and then seeing, you know, a picture from the bridge. Unfortunately, the Times Herald this year said hundreds of people enjoyed boat night festivities. And in my opinion, the largest gathering of the people was for the family night festivities. So maybe we should gear a little more towards that end of the festival next time, especially for the city funds that we put in, because those were, they were very nice. I personally didn't get to attend them because I was down there for gathering signatures for the chicken petition. Once again, hundreds of people down there, and we're at the house right now. I'm at 253 signatures in support. Just to kind of give you guys some numbers here, that's 4 days of collecting signatures. You guys have all collected signatures for petitions before, and unless you belong to a club or something else that is mostly Port Huron residents, you know that it's a time-consuming event to collect the signature. So 250 in 4 days we're moving right along there as far as that goes. You know, the residents on the canal spoke here. The people spoke about the river. Unfortunately, fixing the Tanner Gate resolves those issues. These weren't complaints that people had 5 years ago. And the people, they're gone now, but they are, if you conductively look at the number of houses there along the river, through the Riverside Drive area and the canals and the rest of it, we are a very, or they, not me, I live in the neighborhood but not on the river, they are a very large tax-paying population of the city of Port Huron. Actually, maybe the largest as far as waterfront property tax-paying neighborhoods go. That's a lot of money that's not being put there, but then we're worried about one person's house caving in the canal if we open it up. Like, I mean, I understand, you know, whatnot, but it's kind of redundant as far as all that goes. Another thing I wanted to point out that I greatly enjoyed was I took a trolley tour for the first time in probably 20 years this last weekend. Joined Tyler on one of his last trips. It was extremely rewarding as far as the information that was given. I encourage you guys to go and take one with whoever is giving one. And actually, I'd even pay the 10 cents for you guys to go. And it's one of two things. It's a great information, great tour, all the rest of it. As somebody who once did it as a child, or did it, you know, we used to do field trips, the rest of it, it's kind of disheartening to see my town just, the Seaway Terminal is a stop, and that's all, you know, boarded up, been that way for years. I know that's kind of out of our hands. There's lots of chipping paint on almost every Victorian home that's through the city, so I'm not trying to send the blight department down there to them or whatnot, but like, you know, it's just disheartening to see how it is happening, and unfortunately comes with not welcoming residents. And Madam Mayor, you started this whole thing with our city and how we all should together, but then it was 3 months ago, you sat there and told a young family that they weren't welcome in the city because they wanted chickens, remember? And you said on the Paul Miller show that chickens aren't allowed or aren't welcome in the city of Port Huron. So being welcoming all the way around, and I know my time's coming to be in because you're starting not to agree with it and you're really watching the clock. But as far as it all goes, let's be welcoming as a whole. Let's be welcoming as a whole, okay?
Thank you for your comments.
Rachel Farquhar, 19th Ave.
I again want to say, like my husband said, the Blue Water Fest was a great event. I know the numbers are down. That's unfortunate. Some of that was due to weather, which we can't control, even though apparently they're doing cloud seeding and whatever, but that's not part of us. Anyways, sorry, got off track there. My husband mentioned that we were down at Blue Water Fest collecting signatures for our chicken petition. There's a few people I know that are watching TV right now who are tuning in. The wife loves hearing about the chickens. The husband says, "Not the damn chickens again." And it's just, and we have other family members that tune in with popcorn to watch the Farquhars come down and talk to y'all. So I'm here again. My husband didn't mention it. We got about 250 signatures. We still have some more petitions that are out being collected by community members. He said that was 4 days. It was 6 hours divided up amongst those 4 days. In 6 hours, we got 250 signatures. If that can tell you where we're going to end up with our petition that we've started circulating, which is not the same as what the city attorney came up with. Ours is going to, I'll read it. The question is, shall the city of Port Huron amend Chapter 8 of its Code of Ordinances to allow residents to responsibly keep chickens, ducks, quail, and rabbits on residential homestead properties and affirm related property rights by adopting the following provisions, consistent with the United States Constitution and applicable state statutes. So that's where we're going to end up whenever we get the 1,232 signatures that we need. I would like to ask again that you all bring it back up to vote, the city attorney's proposal, add the stipulation that it will be a trial so that the city can see what chickens will bring to the city and how it will affect the city, so that when they do vote on this, they will understand and know what we're trying to put out there. We're trying to help feed the people who are hungry in our city. We're trying to help those in our communities and our neighborhoods become closer and tight-knit. When you have somebody in one neighborhood raising chickens and giving their extra eggs to their fellow neighbors, you have children coming to their homes and collecting those eggs, learning about life, about self-sustainability. You have that responsible chicken owner able to look after their neighborhood kids, get to know them by name, see which kids might be being abused or neglected so that we can forward that information to the right places. Teaching them accountability for each other and their neighbors, teaching them love for our city and for each other, and not having to go out of the city to get that help. Because most of the help that we're getting comes from outside food sources. When we can provide that food for each other, we become a resilient community. I head to Atlanta tomorrow. I actually have an appointment with a city council member in Atlanta to talk about how chickens affect their community. I just ask again that you bring this back up to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is kind of nerve-wracking. My name's not really super important. Councilmember Barbara Payton knows who I am. I'm a citizen living at 18th and Griswold and have been living at my home for the last 4 years. I would request the city lawmakers reevaluate allowing parking on the side blocks immediately adjacent to the larger, higher-speed avenues like Griswold and Oak Street. Over time, the street parking has become worse and worse. A very kind neighbor who I used to allow to park in my RV, used to park their RV in my driveway when I lived alone, is continuing to park his RV in the street immediately adjacent to Griswold Road. On top of this, other neighbors have new visitors who are parking their brand-new trucks in front of my home regularly, to the point that friends of mine refer to this person as my fifth roommate. This person parks their car there and not in front of the other neighbor's home on a side street that's much less populated and frequented because they prefer to protect their property. I would argue that this parking situation on the street immediately in front of my house, adjacent to Griswold Road, is dangerous to both property and life. I've seen neighbors and strangers alike peel through this one-block strip of land for exceeding the speed limit here, far exceeding the speed limit here. I refuse to allow my nieces and nephews to come visit and play in my yard. I also have had 2 garbage cans ran over and broken in the last 2 weeks, one of which was a brand new can purchased by my fifth roommate as an apology for breaking my first can. I have taken to circling around the block to avoid this specific strip of land because I have almost been hit head-on by other vehicles trying to drive into my own driveway. There is also, if I have the time, I apologize if not, I'll come back to it later. There is also a turf war of sorts between the homeowners adjacent to my lot in reference to the 18th and Griswold alleyway there. I believe I should be partial, according to some other sources, partial ownership of this alleyway, as well as the person who parks their RV in the road. Yet we have a third neighbor there who insists that this is her personal driveway and parks her vehicles there, and does not allow any other inwards traffic. It has been closed to the general public for the last 4 years that I've lived here, but I see no reason why there should be an argument of, I guess, who owns what when it comes to a shared lot of land. Other than that, like local and diverse vendors and entertainment at boat night would certainly encourage more diversity in the attendance to boat night. I think you would have far less of an average of white retirees. And great job on Willow Street with the replacement of the roads. We should definitely try to look towards White Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the Port Huron City Council this evening? Well, thank all those that did come forth tonight and speak to us, and we will try to get at addressing some of those concerns, some of them that we can towards the end, and we will continue our agenda here. Number F, the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Support. Supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Motion carried, and I will proceed to, I'll take the vote first, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. And we have, let's see here, we have 8 items under the consent agenda. Number 4, resolution confirming and approving single lot special assessments for fines, assessments, and/or the cost of removing blight, blighting factors, and/or causes of blight, as well as the abatement of nuisance. Number 5, confirming and approving single lot special assessments for special trash pickup in the right-of-way. Resolution number 6, approving the scheduling of a public hearing for August 11, 2025 to hear comments on the CAPER for program year 2024. Resolution number 7, certifying the delegates to serve at the 2025 Municipal Employee Retirement System of Michigan annual meeting in accordance with the Municipal Employees Retirement Act of 1984 as amended. The last one, resolution number 8, approving the appointment of Derek Smith to the Historic District Commission with a term to expire March 10, 2028. Now we will proceed to, from the city manager, number 1.
Accepting the quote from Wadham's Equipment in the amount of $24,638.63 for a Kubota subcompact tractor with attachments for use by the MOC maintenance staff.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Lamb and supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any discussion? While there's no discussion, this item from the city manager is coming from the motor vehicle fund, and I think that's about $728,000. And this is calling for, what is it, $24,000. So we're well under that. So we're on budget and then some. So I call for the vote on that one.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolutions, one.
Authorizing 23 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by, was that Bob?
Yes.
Was that you? Supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Is there any discussion on that?
Madam Mayor and Council,
Okay.
if I could, I just want to point out the change order for $592,000 as a point of explanation. We actually write in detail what the change order is for, and then we put it online so the public knows. This is, for instance, the water main replacement from Elmwood Street from 10th Avenue to Stone Street in accordance with the attached scheduled items. This scope includes a new and revised specification drawings outlined in Proposal 1. So essentially, DTE had to dig up Elmwood and was going to put in a whole new lane on Elmwood, which was in poor condition. Underneath where they were going to dig is we had almost 100-year-old water main. At the same time, we were doing Russell Court. So per the terms of the contract, and every contract allows us to issue change orders, so does the city charter, we said if they're digging up that road, go replace that 100-year-old water main on Elmwood, because if we didn't, we would have been criticized for putting a brand-new road over a 100-year-old water main, which we would have dug up in a year or so anyways. So I won't go through all of them, but there's a reason why we put a detailed explanation on there. This was a budgeted item. Everything that's in a change order conforms to the council adopted budget and with an explanation attached to it.
Okay, and also, Mr. City Manager, with that Russell project, it was started out one, but it is two projects, isn't it?
Correct, yep.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And then also, I noticed that the G as in go 23-0010 isn't listed. We got paperwork for it, but it's not on our
Which one?
list. G as in go, G 23-0010. So, yeah, I looked at it and it's not there.
Yeah,
Is there
good.
a reason?
You know, I don't have an answer for that. I get it for you.
You don't have an answer?
I'm not going to make it up.
No way.
I don't have an answer.
Okay, all right, well, try to find that
Yep, I will
wherever
do
it
that.
is, so,
Yep.
yeah, I'd be reading. Thank you so much. Is there any more Congress? Okay, we can call for the vote.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 2.
Approving the agreement with DLZ Michigan Incorporated for professional engineering services for the Water Street area reconstruction project.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Moved by Councilmember Mosrak, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Ashford?
Yes.
To Mr. Harris's point, have there been any other bids taken for this? And if so, how many are necessary for it?
Wait a minute, point of order. We're on number 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, where are we on 2? Okay, my apologies.
That's okay. Like I say, we're all human.
I'm anxious.
Yeah, it's okay. So is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Just a quick explanation. This is a $2,645,000 project. $1.2 million is our share. Is the share allocated through Scott's. So we got grant funding through the Scott's Task Force to help get this road fixed. From 10th to 13th, it has been brought to our attention that it's in poor condition. This contract you have before you is $748,946. That is for the engineering, the design, the oversight, the execution of the project. What is nice about DLZ is they're one of the best firms in the state, but they have partnered with local firm BMJ to jointly put in on this project.
Mm-hmm.
So BMJ will also be doing the work as well.
Okay.
So again, it's about bringing grant money into our community. It's $1.2 million of grant money coming to help fix our roads.
You said 1.2 million?
Yeah, so, and again, we're shooting for 2026, but we really want to coordinate the project in a way where there's also a project for downtown in 2026, 27. And so we don't have a hard deadline because we want to make sure that we don't have that tore up when downtown's tore up at the same time. So we may flip-flop that a year or so, but we'll coordinate that with MDOT to make sure that we at least keep traffic flowing in the community the best we can. I don't really want to break up two thoroughfares at once. We also want to make sure if we dig up Water Street, that goes to 94, that it doesn't affect their project. So there'll be coordination with all those different bodies.
Okay. And that'll already help our businesses out also.
Hopefully.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 3.
Approving the agreement with the Blue Water Television Network, LLC, to operate Comcast Channel 12 as a local community channel.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by,
Support.
I was wondering which one was going to take. Okay, moved by, taken by Councilmember Pemberton and second by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a professional services agreement. We don't have to bid those out. It's not like a good or service where we require an ordinance to bid it out under a purchasing ordinance. Professional service agreements, we don't have to bid out, meaning we choose based on who we believe can do the best job, just like our city attorney and engineers as well. We pick them on qualifications, not based on low price. Here, with the Blue Water Television Network, also known as Thumb Coast TV, they currently are actively involved with the RISA and also ran the school channel, still do all the school events and whatnot. They have the most history working with different nonprofit governmental organizations throughout the city. They're also the only community channel that has an active streaming channel on Roku that could easily be put onto the city events. Provided before you is a list of all the different promotions that this, and community news and events that Thumb Coast TV has done. They do a tremendous job, so much so that they have partnered with the Conventions and Visitors Bureau on a lot of events. So when we meet with Comcast, the purpose of this will be for promoting businesses, promoting tourism, promoting community news and community events. And like our council meetings, we are broadcasting live on Channel 12 right now without any issue because of the pilot program beta testing that we're doing with Thumb Coast TV. For the first time ever, the Blue Water Rotary International Day Parade was live fed on cable television so senior citizens could watch it at home. So was the drone show. So was our council meeting. So it allows us to really promote our community. For instance, Shop Around Downtown that our DDA did last year and throughout after the COVID pandemic to help promote downtown businesses was run on Thumb Coast TV. So really this is hopefully will be a big help to promoting small businesses. If passed, we will work with the CVB, and we're working with all the business communities and doctor's office to make sure that when you check into a hotel, that's the first channel on. When you're at a doctor's office, it's the channel on. And if you're in a restaurant or something, that's the channel on to help promote community news. I know most all of you have some type of interfacing with Thumb Coast TV. I do have the owner here today as well, Larry Boyer, who you may know through years of working with the school and RESA and even production of content for Port Huron Hospital as well, to answer any questions. Okay. This will cost us, real quick, unlike other PEG channels where the city must build a TV studio and produce their own content, this will cost the city absolutely nothing. This will cost the city absolutely nothing other than providing a direct fiber line for them to put our council meetings live on TV. So there's no cost to the city, which I think is a real plus.
Good. Okay, any questions or anything? I just wanted to so you could recast or restate something. So Councilmember Peyton asked, about the bidding thing that she had a question on. And so it wasn't an RFP, is that what you?
No, there's pretty much only one game in town that has a live streaming channel, which is Thumb Coast TV.
Oh, okay.
They're the only one that has a live streaming channel that could just be put on with 24/7 content onto Comcast Channel 12.
Oh, okay.
Moreover, Thumbcoast TV has the reputation with all of our nonprofit organizations and governments. When you're working with our schools, that's a huge issue. It's a huge, very sacred trust between the schools and productions, and they've had that relationship. The football games you see, the live feeding the football games, that's Thumbcoast TV, which will be really cool. We actually had a meeting with SC4 today. I met with Kurt Kramer, and we were just talking about how cool it's going to be that the SC4 basketball games, men and women's basketball games, can be live fed now to Comcast. And so, one of the things is about our demographics is we have a large older population who can't make it out to the festivals, and watching on TV. I'm not a senior citizen, but going online and working Roku is even hard for me. So the idea that Channel 12 is readily available for information and news about the community, I think will help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. No, I just wanted you to just clarify that a little bit more, because there's more behind that than that. And I'm very familiar with Larry, and they do just a yeoman's job at what they're doing. They're all over the place, and it's just like communication. You just can't talk enough if you're communication, and we need to get us out there, in the public there. But I do have a question on page 1, council members, and you revised this, so can you speak to why you revised?
Yes, we had a sentence in there that said that they would produce any content we wanted on demand. Well, financially, you can't just, one day we say, well, we want a 12-part series on the history of the lightship. I mean, that's not something we can expect to put that financial burden on them. So any additional content besides our public meetings that we want, we'll have that conversation with Larry.
Okay, so this was for our benefit?
Yes,
Oh.
because the way it was written, we pretty much just demand anything out of them. And I mean, I can assure you that this is not a business that is making a lot of money, so to put that financial burden on them would be very difficult.
No, I just wanted to ask a question to make sure.
Yep.
Because you don't want to get into this thing about favoritism.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with that.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. We have one, that concludes our agenda items up here, but we do have one announcement. The next regular city council meeting will be held on August the 11th, so we will not be holding the second meeting in July, so we will see you all then. And we have some things that I wanted to bring to your attention. And I do want to thank again MDOT, Carrie, and Ms. Nguyen and your group. You did a fantastic job, and remember that they have a website up. If you have any questions, even if you want to just call them, they're always just wide open, wanting to tell you any questions you have. No question is a stupid question, just ask, and you will definitely get your answer. So thank you for all that you do, you and your team. And also, if you could speak to, someone had something here. The Black River issue.
Yeah.
Is that whose responsibility is
Yes.
this?
I can speak to a couple things if you'd like.
Yeah,
Mayor.
you can speak to a couple things.
Yep.
And answer this and make sure.
Yeah, I appreciate the handout, but the problem, this is the issue with AI. This is an AI-produced document. This is not a city document or anything. AI gets a lot of things wrong. The city of Port Huron has no jurisdiction or responsibility of the Black River or the canals that lead to it. That we've not dredged there. Sometimes we get a DNR grant. We could possibly, that's something going on, but it is the DNR that has jurisdiction over the canals. It's not the responsibility to use public taxpayers to dig out the canal for a few residents. That's just not where we are. The surface waters in Michigan are controlled by the state of Michigan, not the city of Port Huron.
Is that Eagle?
DNR and Eagle.
DNR,
Yeah,
Eagle.
it depends on what you're doing, what you're gonna pull a permit for. So I'm sorry that they're misinformed, but it's, and I will say I feel very bad for Mr. Forrester. He did come to my office and left a note for me. However, we had a digit wrong on the phone number, and I tried to call him back, and I couldn't get through. I even went to the effort of I asked the clerk to go through any of her information, because sometimes she has additional records on public. If she had any phone number, we couldn't get a phone number for Mr. Forrester. And so I did try to call him back. I even reached out to the clerk. I have forwarded that email exchange I had with the clerk requesting that information to the council so that you have documentation of that attempt as well. Food trucks. I understand the gentleman is a little upset that his food truck was not included in Blue Water Festival. The truth is, we put out an application period for any food truck that wanted to participate in Blue Water Festival. They did not apply. The footprint is very limited based on space, fire code, and the amount of food trucks we can put on the generators. We filled up. So then a week or so before Blue Water Fest, that group came in and said, well, can we get in? And we tried. We said, if we had a cancellation, you'd be the next in. But it would be unfair for us to just go cancel someone's food truck spot because someone else wanted to have it. And so to be fair, it was unfortunate, but we have to be fair. As for the issue of a gentleman being trespassed, I've been the city manager now for 18 years. This is a great job. It's a wonderful job. Sometimes you're villainized and dehumanized, and I get that. I make decisions every day that people don't like. I accept criticism. I get criticism every day. Am I perfect? No, I make a ton of mistakes. 18 years, I've learned from a lot of my mistakes. I will just say this. We had an incident occur last week where a gentleman came in, and when they did not get the answer that they wanted, began screaming in such a way, and this is important for the public note, screaming in such a way and pounding that for the first time in 18 years, our city staff had to hit their panic buttons and call for rapid police response to the office. We have staff that was afraid to come to work that day after the incident. It was horrifying. After that, we trespassed an individual from our building for the safety of our staff. That incident is now the subject of a criminal investigation. I want to be very clear. You have the right to criticize. You have a right to come in and demand documents and transparency. You do not have a right to be disorderly, to be disorderly and disturb the peace. You don't have the right to threaten or harass people. If you come into City Hall and you're disorderly and you disturb the peace, you're going to be arrested. If you send us harassing and threatening emails, you're going to be arrested. We're not going to tolerate it. This is happening all over the country where public officials have been dehumanized in such a way that people think they can walk off the street and just treat them in pretty ridiculous ways. In my 18 years as city manager, I have seen the civility decline pretty significantly. But there is a point where we can't go on it any further. So there was more to the story than that. It is the subject of a criminal investigation, and I want to thank the city staff for handling it professionally, and I just feel terrible that hardworking, dedicated public officials would be afraid to come to work. It's very sad.
Thank you, James. Okay, and so, and then actually, you will be getting back with the gentleman that came, you took the notes that came up talking about, you said this is AI, I think it's somebody other than AI.
I still don't have a contact number for him, that's the problem.
Yeah. Oh, no, this was the, he gave his name, the other gentleman. The first one that got up talking about the boats that gave us this, he gave his name.
Okay.
He gave his name, that's the other guy.
Do you have the contact information?
Yeah, we have his information, and we would like you to get back with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then also, the blight department, you may want to visit them to see what's going on with the grass or that. You need to do that. Did anybody else take anything you want to clean up here?
Mayor Ashford?
Yes.
I'd just like to take a second to thank Lisa DeLong, our DDA director, and her staff for all the hard work for boat weekend and parade, and the city staff that helped block roads and everything. And just kind of going back to piggyback off what the city manager said, I understand that people would like to see more local vendors, but when you open it up, anybody's allowed to apply for it and come join. If other people in the city aren't applying for them or filling the stands, there's nothing that anything can be done about that. So I would just encourage people, if you're interested in being a local vendor and being involved in these, get out there and apply for them and make sure you get in on it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And the only thing with that is that how do you apply and how far did we cast our net? That's all I got to say about that. Because if you're going to have something, you make sure it gets in all these different avenues so they can have the opportunity to do it. They got to know about it in order to proceed to make the application. And that's no excuse or anything, but hopefully some people came here and had a lot to say about the the festivities over, you know, it was the parade or or whatever. That wasn't good, but we do a debriefing, is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, you
but-
do a debriefing, and sometimes it's constructive criticism. You know, you can't do everything right. You need to sit down and talk about it and see what didn't go right, and so you can do it better next year. So it's not that, you know, you can, no attitudes fly, it's just that what was missing. And that's why it's so important that we listen to them when they come here, you know, and say that. It's not, you know, they didn't like, what didn't they like? What can we do better? What is the opportunity? So that's what I think we should be looking at. I think that we pretty much got everything that was really hard here. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, and if you guys didn't get anything, then I think the other things we can do a one-on-one. And then also to those council members that didn't hand in their evaluations, I would just like to direct you to take them to the clerk's office, and she will receive those evaluations that she didn't get tonight. Is that your clear minds? Okay. All right, so I will entertain the best motion in the world. Motion to adjourn. Hit it, guys.
Make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.